Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna here. Basically, we are discussing one of the topic that is city creation. City creation. Basically, we are discussing one of the topic that is Amazon account, India account, and after 2 days, basically, the big earthquake is going to happen to India. So that topic basically we are discussing. In this, basically, one person basically told her how much basically we are secure. For that, basically, watch this video advertising. Basically.
थैंक यू। सेफ्टी की इतनी चिंता? हाँ, तो पेमेंट सिर्फ वीजा से ही करना। वीजा की जीरो लायबिलिटी पॉलिसी गलत पेमेंट और फ्रॉड से बचाती है, और अगर कार्ड खो जाए या चोरी हो जाए तब भी अकाउंट बिल्कुल सेफ रहता है। टैप टू पे विद वीजा, सेफ रहने का स्मार्ट तरीका।
So this is one ad basically, which is telling that basically how much basically you are secure basically. So they are actually telling lots of things basically from that ad only. Basically. For example, I will take one example. Assume that basically you purchased some shirt basically from one store basically. You purchased from one shirt basically from mall. You purchased from shirt basically from footpath. You purchased from one store basically one shirt basically from online. They basically give from their store basically. So they basically purchase bulk basically. So from this all basically, how much you are secure basically at which point basically, which is most secure basically, because all are going to give you the energy basically. So that is basically this thing basically, right? Now basically about the human needs basically, which is the human consuming basically, that is the eating food basically. For example, you had one thali basically from normal footpath basically. You had one thali from normal restaurant. You had one thali from one star, two star, three star, four star, five-star restaurants. You had one thali from five-star hotels. You had one thali from seven-star hotel. So here basically how much you are secure basically. So one person asked the question basically security means what actually? Here basically what you want to say basically. Then one person basically told this thing basically. That is this story basically. Assume that basically you are having one shirt basically. That shirt is basically created on the base of cotton basically. And nowadays, basically, the cotton are equal to chemicals, basically. So that chemical, basically, some company has created. He told that basically from this software, basically, I have created this cotton. Basically. That is the from software energy, basically, we have created this cotton, basically. And to create this cotton, basically, we have taken 1 crore data, basically. And that data, basically, is coming from that all areas. And that all area, basically, are connected with set of business management group, basically. So how see basically how one advertising actually telling everything basically, that you are actually secure and not secure also basically. So that buildings basically are connected with them set of business management group basically. So they basically do the business basically of this people basically, because they are going to give the energy basically. The person basically who had the thali, he basically had this all thali. From that thali basically is created from this all objects basically, that is the energy, and that energy basically is created from that thousand city, thousand buildings. So that thousand building is giving the energy basically to that thali. So that thousand buildings is handled by set of management group basically, and that are almost basically healthcare department group basically. And they basically take sometime basically they breaks hand, breaks head, because from One thali basically your body basically also basically can damage. Up to that level basically the business has reached. So nowadays basically the technology from technology basically the human bodies are getting damaged. So that is one thing. That was negative point basically. Positive is they repairs the body parts also. They repairs the body parts also. But without any benefits basically anybody is going to do this basically. So they might be getting some benefit basically. Otherwise basically they are, do you think basically nowadays basically without benefit basically anybody is going to do anything basically? That is not possible here basically. Even your childhood friend also basically will not do anything for you basically. If he will see that basically he is financially not strong, he will basically break the relationship basically. Because the situation is like that basically. Because he basically will see that basically yeah, how basically his financial condition basically become bad basically. So he will breaks the relationship. So without profit, basically nobody is going to do nowadays nothing. So that business management basically gives the energies of that thousand, sorry, of that thali from that thousand buildings basically. So that are the business. So nowadays basically world has connected up to this level basically. This kind of activity who does? Adanis, Ambanis, Tatas. They have the control of the thalis also basically. You will not able to believe it basically. And they basically are purely professional group basically. Without profit basically they will not do anything basically. So they have created the system basically. They basically don't basically give the energy of that particular thali basically. They have created the system according to the system basically the business management team is created and they are basically doing everything basically. And in front of the world basically what are basically things that are wrong basically that basically we everybody knows. So they are also controlled by set of groups basically. So one person told that nowadays basically the world is getting controlled like this way. Basically. The investment basically are getting controlled like this way. Basically. One bank told that basically we want the maximum return basically from this investment. Why? Because we are giving lots of interest basically for the investment to the public basically. So we also want something basically. So nowadays this way basically somebody has taken basically. That is the breaking the head, breaking the leg, breaking the eye, breaking the heart, breaking the hand, and that has converted into business basically. They will say that basically this person basically had the thali, so we have control of his energy basically. So they will connect to that person's enemy basically, and from that enemy basically they will say that basically I will give you this much money basically, you break his hand basically. Literally they breaks the hand basically, you will not able to believe it basically. Nowadays basically the generation has converted their business up to this level basically. Nowadays the business basically has converted into this level basically. So you will not able to believe it basically. I'm telling you basically. You will not able to believe it basically. So the Bollywood group basically are displaying everything basically what our things are created basically. So their security, the secure ad basically they are telling that basically if you will do the payment through Visa basically, the Visa the card group basically will be responsible for your hand, responsible for your leg, responsible for your head. They are going to secure your head, leg, and head. So that ad basically connects up to the well basically. So the ad are basically very depthly basically connected because Bollywood basically group can't display everything directly basically because this is one business basically. In this Tata, Ambani's, Adani group basically are connected, so they can't display anything basically against that group basically. But they have to do their duty basically. They have to do their duty basically. So they are basically doing their duty. So like this, basically from one ad, basically they displayed everything. Basically. But here, basically, if one of the group basically will contact and then basically we say that basically why basically you are leaking our management stuff. Basically, we have displayed everything basically like this. So nowadays, basically, to eat one thali also basically it's has become basically very dangerous. You had thali from that restaurant. That restaurant basically is taking material from this group basically. That material is created from that thousand buildings energy, and that energy basically are collected from these all software companies. So up to what level the business is that you see? This is one thing. Now basically about the everything is chained basically. That's why basically I'm telling. This is one side basically. Now basically the another side see basically. One person told that politics groups are there basically, right? So in front of the public, basically politics groups are basically controlling the public. Basically, they are telling that basically we are doing this, we are basically into this yojana, that yojana, basically. But do you think basically the world which the person who has created, he will display everything basically and say that basically I am doing this, that is we are doing this? That is not possible because whatever things basically which are displayed in front of the world and basically that all are wrong basically. So politics group basically are controlled by set of groups. Lots of people says that the reporters, the news reporters basically are controlled. Then one person told the reporters basically are controlled by the reporter owners basically, the channel owners basically. Then who is controlling channel owner basically? Like this basically change keeps on going, keeps on going. SBI basically, people say that SBI basically is doing everything basically. But somebody displayed that basically SBI is not doing everything basically. RBI is controlling SBI. But nowadays, basically, the RBI also basically got some summons basically that you have done this mistake. Please basically do the adjustment basically. So RBI is also basically controlled by someone basically. That was displayed basically. One of the person told that the visa department basically Bollywood groups are basically handling because this person basically who given the ad basically he was actually Bollywood person basically. He was Bollywood person basically. But Bollywood group basically are not the perfect group basically are doing the task basically. They are just displaying everything basically. They are not doctors basically. They are basically telling that basically these all are all the stuff basically the doctors are doing basically. Bad stuff, good stuff. In this basically one ad basically they have displayed that basically how much secure you are basically. But I have taken basically one example of how much you are secure. And that thousand buildings are controlled by this management group basically. Then one person told that the elections happens, political party basically gets selected, they basically do the task of public basically. Then previously you rule that basically management groups are basically handling the thousand buildings. Then what politics group basically are doing? They are also controlling their that group only no, basically. Thousand buildings basically are controlled by this group basically, political people. So one person told that management is controlling the political people or basically the political people basically are controlling the management. Because each group basically have got their power supply basically. So one person told that basically how much power basically the political people basically have got. Just a minute. How much power the political people basically have got basically. So just a minute. So one person told that basically need to check here basically how much power supply the political people basically have got. How much power supply the political people have got. But political people also basically without profit they are going to do anything basically. They are not going to do anything. The management group basically without profit they are going to do anything basically. Because they are telling that basically we have created these thousand buildings basically. So investment basically has happened lots of basically. So who is controlling whom basically? That is very dangerous thing. Nobody can basically track that basically. It's not possible here basically who is tracking whom basically. Who is controlling whom basically. So one person basically from satellite told that basically you got the job basically. You got the marriage basically. You got basically you basically become father basically. Then Sunil Arna told that basically no basically yet not basically. So somebody is controlling Sunil Arna basically. Because from this example basically I told that basically if you are eating one thali also no basically that is controlled by set of management. And up to what level basically the things are connected that also basically we are displayed here. So everything is done by management group only. They do so big business management basically will not able to believe it. Will not able to believe it. One person basically got divorced. So whenever basically he was eating something, basically whatever basically he was having, he basically purchased one shirt. That information basically he that the management group basically was passing to first marriage group girl basically, and they were basically rich people, and they were giving whatever activities he was doing in computer, if whatever activities basically he was doing in Facebook, whatever activities basically he was doing in LinkedIn. So that all information basically he was passing to the first marriage group basically. That marriage group basically told that basically break his head, break his leg, break his hand. Like this, basically, they were giving the money basically. And they were basically doing this type of business basically. So this comes to data science project basically. So you can just imagine basically up to what level bad business basically has connected. That this is basically very bad level business, yeah, basically, yeah. Very bad level business. One person told that the rich people like Tata's group, Ambani's group, basically, and the Reliance group, they basically spend crores of rupees for their enemy, basically. Whenever basically they get the information, Arey bhai, he basically had one thali. Immediately, basically, they will pass the enemy information to Tata's, Ambani's, and Adani's. They basically give big money, basically, to break his leg, break his hand, break his hand, basically. And this is real basically, but they know or they don't know basically that basically need to check basically because their people basically are handling their companies like this way only basically. So one person told that yeah, the business basically has become up to this level basically. So management industry basically has connected up to this level, and they are using the data science projects basically like this way basically. In the software industries are also basically contributing in that head break, leg break, hand break. So this all are basically broken basically of that particular person basically. So you can just able to imagine basically up to what level things basically are connected. So one person told that this is very dangerous thing here basically. Up to this level, the business management basically has reached. We never thought, Sunil, basically, that your business management has reached up to this level. Basically. In this, basically, without doctors, basically, this is possible. Basically. So, in this, many doctors are also basically available. They basically literally give the data that to give this energy, basically, so that his one person told that from one thali, basically, how you can break his leg, basically, break his hand, basically. Doctors are there, no, basically. Doctor knows that basically in this hand, basically, joint, basically, which all energy basically gets into this, so that his hand and leg basically will get pain, basically. So they literally give that data basically to the energy department, and they basically pass the energy department's data basically to this person, basically. And he from that thali, basically, he his hand basically got pain, basically. And he basically had slowly, basically, his hand got broken, basically, from one thali, basically. So one person told that, yeah, basically, so the restaurant group basically are earning money like this way also. Shirts company that are the textile industry basically are earning money this way also, basically. They have started this way also. So one of the person told that might be possible, yeah, basically like this way also, basically world might be getting handled. Because natural item basically never damage your hand, never damage your leg, never damage your head. That are the doctors group basically. But here basically one of the person told that for few doctor basically why you are spoiling the name of the entire doctor industry basically. So that is also correct basically. Few doctors basically have created their profession into business basically. And they are telling that basically we are connected with sort of party basically that are the political parties. So they say that basically you have to do this all task. So one person told that if one Bollywood person basically displaying one ad basically, so he is basically not displaying like that way basically. They basically gets into the ad industry. They basically display anything, display movies, displays the stuff basically. They are not displaying anything basically like that basically. They have saw everything basically. They basically had got the information that somebody has broken his head or hand basically through one thali basically, and he was enemy of Ambani, Adanis, and Tatas. So one of the person told that Tata's group basically do are basically they have reached up to this level. Basically, they are breaking the hand of people. Basically, nowadays basically they are doing like this way. Basically, previously physical basically was there, but nowadays the digital world is basically there. So they have basically used this way basically. So one person told that might be possible. Basically, they might be knowing or not. Basically, that basically we can't say. But if the staffs basically are doing their tasks like this way, that means they might be knowing only without owner's information. Basically, the employees not can't do any level of task. So this task is basically connected with owner directly. So one of the person to the मतलब ये लोग मतलब यहाँ तक पहुँच गए. Previously it was physical. Now basically they have reached to digital world. Basically. Use of power basically. Using of money power basically. Using of power of the post. The people basically can do anything. So one person told that basically you have basically went to Mumbai, you went to Bangalore basically, you have not got the job. So somebody might have used his power and told that basically he is not going to get the job. And due to that basically it converted him tension basically. Tension disease, this disease, that disease, and that connects to the doctor's group basically. And nowadays basically this type of thing basically has become as a business basically. So what to do basically? One of the person basically asked the question. Because this has converted into business basically. One person basically had one thali. That thali basically was created from this material. This material was created from the thousand buildings. That thousand building is managed by these all companies. So that company basically is doing the damaging part of that particular person. So they are damaging how many head, how many leg per day basically. Literally basically I'm telling you that the count basically in India basically it will reach to 1 crore. So 1 crore daily basically the companies are handling. Companies basically are damaging hand, companies are damaging head, companies are damaging leg, companies are damaging eye. Daily 1 crore means you can just understand here basically what is the number basically. It's not a normal number here basically. 1 crore means you can imagine basically. So companies basically nowadays basically it's a software industry basically. So they are into the digital. So they are basically breaking the hand, basically breaking the leg of 1 crore people basically daily. So this is not a big amount basically. So companies basically are doing this type of task basically nowadays because that thousand buildings is handled by set of companies basically, and they company basically takes the information and they have that kind of digital basically project basically. You will not able to believe if you will write Sunilar Nair, they will display the name of Sunilar Nair and they will say that basically he have this all enemy basically. So whenever basically Sunilar Nair is going to have thali, immediately basically they will pass the information to enemies basically, and the enemy basically give the money to the companies basically and tell that basically break his hand, break his head, break his leg. So you will not able to believe it basically. One person told that, do you have the data basically of the all human needs basically, of all human needs basically, which is created from physical place? So one person told that yes, basically we have that data. For that basically we have created the data science project also. For that basically we have created the data science project also. So in next video basically we are going to talk about that data science project basically and how that is controlled by Bollywood group, companies management, that is the thousand buildings are managed by one management group and the set of other group.